I handed my parents $20,000 to bring my family to my wedding. They took it, booked flights to Europe with my sister instead, and texted me, "You're not worth seeing in a wedding dress." What I did next made them wish they'd never sent that message. If you've ever been the family ATM who got thrown away after the withdrawal, hit that subscribe button. This story gets wild, and you'll want to see how it ends. I promise you, by the end, you'll understand why sometimes walking away is the only way to win. My name is Maya Chin, and I'm 32 years old. I work as a senior marketing director at a tech company in San Francisco, pulling in a decent salary that I worked my entire adult life to achieve. But this story isn't about my success. It's about the 14 years I spent being my family's personal piggy bank, and the moment I finally stopped letting them shake me for spare change. I'm the oldest daughter in a Chinese-American immigrant family. My parents came to Boston from Guangzhou in the 80s with nothing but suitcases and dreams. They worked restaurant jobs, saved every penny, and raised two daughters in a cramped two-bedroom apartment in Chinatown. Growing up, I heard the same thing over and over. "You're the oldest. You have to sacrifice. That's how family works." And I did. God, I sacrificed everything. When I was 18, I got accepted to a good state school with a partial scholarship. I was going to study graphic design. I loved art, loved creating things that made people feel something. But 2 weeks before move-in day, my parents sat me down at our kitchen table. My little sister Lily was 14 then, already beautiful and brilliant in ways I never was. "Lily needs to go to a better school than you," my mother said, not even looking at me. "Private high school, then college prep, then a top university. You understand, right? You can go to community college, work part-time. Lily's future is more important." I remember staring at the acceptance letter in my hands, feeling it crumple under my fingers. "But I got a scholarship. I worked so hard." "Don't be selfish," my father cut in. "Lily is smarter than you. She can go to Harvard, Yale. Make the family proud. You're adequate. You'll be fine wherever you go." Adequate. That word lived in my chest for the next 14 years. So I stayed home. I went to community college at night and worked 2 jobs during the day, receptionist at a dental office and freelance design work until 3 in the morning. I sent $1,500 home every single month for 10 years. That's $180,000 if you're counting. I was. Lily got her private school, then her SAT tutors, then Harvard. Full ride to Harvard, by the way, which made the irony even more painful. She got a car for her 16th birthday, a downtown Boston apartment during college, credit cards with no limit. Meanwhile, I was living in an $800 studio in a sketchy part of Oakland, eating ramen and sleeping 4 hours a night. But I told myself it was worth it. Family takes care of family, right? That's what my parents always said. Lily graduated Harvard and got a job at an investment bank in Boston. $250,000 a year, straight out of college. I was proud of her. I really was. Until she met Brandon Walsh. Brandon came from old Boston money. His family had a last name that opened doors and a trust fund that bought everything else. He was handsome, charming, and from a world so far removed from our Chinatown apartment that it might as well have been another planet. Lily fell hard. And once she started dating Brandon, everything changed. She stopped answering my calls. When I'd visit Boston for holidays, she'd be too busy to see me. I'd see her Instagram posts, designer handbags, yacht parties, charity galas, and I was blocked from all of it, literally. She blocked me so I couldn't see her new life. Then she got engaged. The wedding was something out of a magazine. Newport Mansion, 500 guests, Vera Wang dress. I wasn't in the wedding party. I sat in the back with distant cousins who didn't know my name, but I still sent a check for $15,000 because my parents asked me to help pay for it. "Lily wants everything perfect," my mother said. "You understand." After the wedding, Lily had 2 kids, Emma and Lucas, 4 and 2 years old. Beautiful children I'd met exactly twice, both times by accident at family gatherings where Lily couldn't avoid me. She wouldn't let me visit, wouldn't send photos. When I asked why, my mother said, "Lily needs to keep up appearances with Brandon's family. You make us look poor." I made them look poor. Me, the one who'd given them nearly $250,000 over the years, not even counting the emergency funds and medical bills and down payment on their house. But I kept my mouth shut. I always kept my mouth shut. Then I met James. James Martinez was an architect, kind, steady, with warm brown eyes that actually saw me. We met at a coffee shop where I was working on a freelance project at midnight because I couldn't afford to take time off. He bought me a refill and asked what I was designing. We talked until sunrise. He knew everything about my family. I didn't hide it from him. And you know what he said? "You're not responsible for their happiness, Maya. You're allowed to live your own life." 3 years later, he proposed. Simple, perfect, exactly what I wanted. On a hiking trail overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. No cameras, no audience, just us. We planned a small wedding in Napa Valley. 80 guests, mostly our friends and James's family. His parents treated me like their own daughter from day one, which made my own family's coldness hurt even more. The venue was beautiful, a vineyard estate with rolling hills and sunset views. We were paying for everything ourselves, $45,000 that we'd saved for 2 years. But I wanted my family there. Despite everything, I wanted them to see me happy. So I called my parents. "I want to fly everyone out," I told my mother. "You, Dad, Lily, Brandon, and the kids. First class for you and Dad. Business class for Lily's family, hotel suites, everything covered. I'm sending you $20,000 to book it all." There was a long silence on the other end. Then, "We'll see if we can make it." Not congratulations, not "we're so excited for you." Just, "we'll see." I should have known then. But I was stupid enough to hope. I transferred the money the next day, $20,500 to be exact. First class tickets for my parents at $3,000 each. Business class for Lily's family of 4 at $2,000 per person. 3 hotel suites for 3 nights at $500 a night. It cleaned out most of my wedding emergency fund, but I didn't care. I wanted them there. 3 weeks before the wedding, I texted Lily, "Did Mom and Dad book your flights? I'm finalizing the seating chart." She left me on red. 2 weeks before, I called my dad. "Did you get the flight confirmations? I need to arrange airport pickup." "Don't worry about it," he said shortly. "We'll handle it." 1 week before, I saw the Facebook post. I was at work on my lunch break, mindlessly scrolling. Then I saw it. My sister's post from Paris Disneyland. The photo showed her and Brandon with Emma and Lucas, all wearing matching Mickey Mouse ears, and standing behind them, arms around my niece and nephew, smiling like they'd won the lottery. My parents. The caption read, "Best grandparents ever, treating us to a European dream vacation. Family first. Blessed." The date stamp on the photo was 3 days away, the exact weekend of my wedding. I stared at my phone screen until the words blurred. That was my $20,000. That was my wedding fund. That was my family, choosing a Disney trip over my wedding day. My hands shook so hard, I dropped my phone. A coworker asked if I was okay. I couldn't answer. I just picked up my phone and walked to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and tried to breathe. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. I almost didn't open it. Some part of me knew it would destroy me. But I opened it anyway. The message read, "Maya, we decided to use the money for a family trip instead. Lily's children deserve to see Europe. You're not worth seeing in a wedding dress anyway. You'll get married whether we're there or not. Don't be selfish." I read it 3 times, 4 times, 5. "You're not worth seeing in a wedding dress. 14 years, $237,000. Every sacrifice I'd ever made. And I wasn't worth seeing in a wedding dress." I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough that James came looking for me. He'd left work early to surprise me with lunch. He found me sitting on the bathroom floor, phone clutched in my hand, tears streaming down my face. "What happened?" He knelt beside me, voice panicked. "Maya, talk to me." I couldn't speak. I just handed him my phone. I watched his face change as he read the messages. Confusion, then shock, then rage. "That's your money," he said, voice shaking. "They stole from you. That's theft, Maya. That's—" He stopped, pulling me into his arms. I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I gave them everything, I whispered into his shirt. Everything I had, and I'm still not enough. We went home early. I called in sick for the rest of the week. James wanted to cancel the wedding, postpone it, do something, but I refused. No, I said, voice steadier than I felt. I'm not letting them take this from me, too. We're getting married, with or without them. The posts kept coming. My parents in front of the Eiffel Tower. Lily and Brandon at a Parisian cafe. The kids at the Louvre. Every single photo felt like a knife between my ribs. Then came the comments from extended family. Isn't Maya getting married this weekend? Why aren't you there? My mother replied, sometimes you have to choose the family that appreciates you. And Lily commented with a heart emoji, thanks, Mom and Dad. Maya would never do this for us. That's when something inside me broke. Not in a sad, defeated way. In a clarifying, crystallizing way. They wanted to humiliate me publicly? Fine. I could play that game too. The wedding day arrived. 74 guests confirmed, minus the 6 family members in Paris. I got ready in the bridal suite, surrounded by my bridesmaids, real friends who'd held me while I cried, who'd helped me pick up the pieces. James's mother came in while I was getting my makeup done. She took my hands and said, you are beautiful, and you are loved, and you are more than enough. Don't you ever forget that. I almost broke down right there, but I held it together. I had a plan. 1 hour before the ceremony, a black SUV limo pulled up to the venue. I watched from the window as a woman stepped out, tall, elegant, wearing Chanel and diamonds that caught the California sun. Victoria Chen Morrison, my father's older sister. The family member who'd been excommunicated 20 years ago for refusing to follow tradition, for choosing her career over marriage, for daring to live life on her own terms. I'd reached out to her on LinkedIn 2 months ago. We'd met for coffee in San Francisco. She'd listened to my whole story without interrupting, and when I finished, she said, I've been waiting 20 years for someone in this family to wake up. I'm so glad it's you. Now she was here, and she was about to change everything. Victoria walked into the bridal suite like she owned it. Maybe she did. She'd offered to pay for the whole wedding when she heard what my parents had done. I'd refused, but she'd insisted on paying for the photographer. Document everything, she'd said. Trust me. She hugged me tight. You look absolutely stunning, she said. Your parents are fools, but we already knew that. My bridesmaids stared. One of them whispered, Is that Victoria Chen from the Forbes list? That's my aunt, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. She's walking me down the aisle. The ceremony was perfect. Victoria walked me down the aisle with her head held high, and I felt her strength flowing into me with every step. James cried when he saw me. His vows made everyone cry. When he said, You deserve all the love you never got, I knew he meant it. At the reception cocktail hour, Victoria gave a toast that half the guests recorded on their phones. I'm honored to stand here today in place of those who didn't value this moment. Maya is the most resilient woman I know. She built herself from nothing, with zero support, and look at her now. That's not just strength, that's grace. Her parents' loss is the world's gain. The applause was deafening. Then I did it. I posted on Facebook. I never posted on Facebook. My account was basically dead, used only to stay connected with distant relatives. But that day, I posted a photo album. 20 pictures, me and Victoria walking down the aisle, James and me at the altar, the stunning Napa Valley sunset behind us, Victoria's toast, our first dance, me laughing with James's family. The caption, Grateful for the family who chose to show up and the family who chose me. Special thanks to my Aunt Victoria Chen Morrison for flying in from London to walk me down the aisle. When your blood family disappoints you, your chosen family reminds you of your worth. I said it to public, tagged Victoria, tagged the venue, tagged our photographer. Then I put my phone away and enjoyed my wedding. It took exactly 47 minutes for my phone to explode. James's best man told me later that he watched it happen in real time. The likes, the comments, the shares. Extended family members I barely knew were commenting, Congratulations! You look beautiful. Who's Victoria? Someone tagged my parents. Isn't this your daughter's wedding? You're in Paris? 15 minutes later, my mother called. I didn't answer. She called again and again. Then the texts started flooding in. Who is that woman? Why didn't you tell us Victoria would be there? Answer your phone right now. You're embarrassing us in front of the family. I blocked the numbers and went back to dancing with my husband, but Victoria didn't block them. And Victoria had comments of her own to make. She commented on my post where everyone could see the $20,000 your parents took was just the surface. I've reviewed the bank transfers Maya sent over 10 years. Let's just say some people never learn gratitude. Proud of you for finally choosing yourself. 300 likes in an hour. 80 comments. The family group chat that I'd been removed from months ago was apparently on fire. Cousins were screenshotting everything and sending it to me through James's phone. Did they really take wedding money for a vacation? How much did Maya send them over the years? This is disgusting. Who does that to their own daughter? Lily's posts from Paris started disappearing one by one. First the Disneyland photo, then the Eiffel Tower, then all of them gone. Too late. Screenshots existed. The internet never forgets. Someone had already screen recorded everything and posted it in the family WeChat with the caption, "For those who missed it, this is what Maya's parents chose over her wedding." By the time we cut the cake, my parents had called 17 times. Lily had sent 12 texts that I didn't read. My phone was on silent, face down on the gift table. I was too busy dancing with my husband, laughing with our friends, and celebrating with the family who actually showed up. Victoria pulled me aside during the reception, champagne in hand. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Liberating," I said, and I meant it. Good, because tomorrow the real consequences begin. I've already had my lawyer draft a demand letter for the $20,000, and I've started compiling the full financial records. If they want to play games, we'll play. I looked at her, this woman who'd been cast out for refusing to bow, who'd built an empire on her own terms, who'd waited 2 decades for someone else in the family to break free. "Thank you," I said, "for showing me it's possible to choose myself." She clinked her glass against mine. "Welcome to the other side, Maya. It's lonely sometimes, but the view is incredible." That night, after the reception ended and the guests went home, James and I sat on the balcony of our hotel suite overlooking the vineyard. My phone was still blowing up. I could see the notification count climbing every time the screen lit up. James took my hand. "Do you regret it? Posting everything?" I thought about it. About the years of silence, of swallowing my pain, of making myself smaller so they could feel bigger. About my mother's text. "You're not worth seeing in a wedding dress." "No," I said. "I don't regret it at all. They exposed themselves when they posted those Paris photos. I just showed up for my own life. If they're embarrassed, that's on them." He kissed my temple. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me too," I said. And for the first time in 14 years, I actually meant it. Somewhere across the Atlantic, my parents were probably panicking. Lily was probably deleting everything she could find. The family group chat was probably still exploding with gossip and judgment. But here, in this moment, I was happy. Genuinely, completely happy. And that was worth more than all the money I'd ever given them combined. The honeymoon in Bali was supposed to be 2 weeks of peace. No phones, no drama, just James and me in an overwater bungalow pretending the rest of the world didn't exist. We made it 3 days before Victoria's email landed in my inbox with the subject line, "You need to see this." I opened it against my better judgment. Attached was a PDF. 47 pages of bank statements, wire transfers, and receipts that Victoria's private investigator had compiled. Every single dollar I'd sent my parents over 14 years, itemized and dated. $1,500 a month for 120 months. $180,000 in regular payments alone. Then the extras. $15,000 for Lily's wedding. $25,000 for my parents' house down payment. $8,000 for my mother's dental work. $12,000 in emergency loans that were never paid back. $3,000 here, $5,000 there. The final total at the bottom of the last page, $237,000. I stared at that number until James looked over my shoulder and whistled low. Jesus, Maya. I knew it was a lot, I said quietly. I didn't know it was that much. That's a house, James said. That's a whole house in some parts of the country. That's retirement savings. He stopped, jaw tight. That's your entire 20s. Victoria's email continued below the attachment. Posted this analysis on my personal blog this morning. No names, just numbers and patterns. It's already at 30,000 shares. Several news outlets have reached out asking if they can interview the anonymous daughter. I told them to contact my publicist. Your call on whether you want to speak. But Maya, people need to hear this story. You're not alone in this. I clicked the link to her blog. The post was titled, "The Hidden Cost of Being the Good Daughter," a case study in financial exploitation. It was clinical, analytical, breaking down the psychology of family financial abuse with my story as the framework. Victoria had changed enough details that no one could definitively identify me, but anyone who knew our family would recognize it instantly. The comments section had exploded, thousands of people sharing their own stories. I paid my brother's way through medical school, and he didn't even invite me to his graduation. I sent money home for 10 years, and when I got sick, they told me they couldn't help. My parents took a loan in my name and destroyed my credit. I wasn't alone. I'd never been alone. "Do you want to do the interview?" James asked carefully. I thought about it. About staying silent, keeping the peace, being the bigger person. All the things I'd done for 14 years. "Yeah," I said. "I do." By the time we got back from Bali, the story had gone viral. Victoria's blog post had been shared over 50,000 times. 3 major news outlets had reached out. A podcast about family trauma wanted me as a guest. The LinkedIn post I'd barely glanced at before the wedding had somehow become a case study in business schools about family boundaries and financial literacy. My parents' social circle was in shambles. The Chinese-American community in Boston had always been tight-knit, and gossip traveled faster than the T train. Someone had forwarded Victoria's blog post to the church listserv. Another person had shared it in the WeChat group for local Asian parents. My mother's friends stopped calling. My father's weekly dim sum group suddenly had no space for him. The invitations to community events dried up overnight. I knew this because my Aunt Lynn, my mother's youngest sister, one of the few relatives who'd stayed neutral, called me a week after we got back. "Your mother is devastated," she said carefully. "The whole community is talking. She can't show her face at church." She chose to show her face in Paris instead of at my wedding, I said flatly. That was her decision. "Maya, you have to understand." "No, Auntie, I don't. For 14 years I understood. I understood when they took my college fund for Lily. I understood when they needed my money every month. I understood when they missed every single one of my accomplishments because they were busy celebrating Lily's. I'm done understanding." There was a long pause. Then, "Your grandmother is very upset." That hit differently. My grandmother, my father's mother, was 91 and the only family member besides Victoria who'd ever told me I was working too hard, sacrificing too much. "Is she upset with me?" I asked quietly. "No, child, she's upset with your parents. She told your father he raised you to be strong and then punished you for it. She said if they'd treated both daughters equally, none of this would have happened." I felt something crack in my chest. "Can you give her my number? I'd like to talk to her." "She already has it. She'll call when she's ready." After we hung up, I sat with James in our new living room, the house we'd just closed on in Oakland, 3 bedrooms with a view of the bay, and felt the weight of everything settling in. "My grandmother is the only one who gets it," I said. James pulled me against his side. "Victoria gets it. I get it. Everyone who commented on that blog post gets it. The people who matter understand, Maya." My phone buzzed. A LinkedIn message from Lily. I hadn't heard from her since before the wedding, and seeing her name made my stomach drop. I opened it. "Maya, please. Brandon's parents are threatening to cut us off financially. They read Victoria's blog post. Someone sent it to them. They're saying we come from a low-class, ungrateful family, and that it reflects poorly on Brandon's reputation at the firm. His managing director saw it too. Can you please ask Victoria to take down the post? I'll pay you back the 20,000. I'm begging you. I read it twice. Then I showed James, who made a noise of disgust. She wants you to protect her now? After everything? I thought about my sister. Beautiful, brilliant Lily, who'd gotten everything I'd worked for handed to her on a silver platter, who'd blocked me from her life the second it became inconvenient to acknowledge where she came from, who'd stood by while our parents took my wedding money and said nothing. I typed my response carefully. Hi, Lily. I'm currently on my honeymoon extension in Napa, enjoying the marriage I paid for myself. I suggest you use the Harvard education I funded to figure out your own problems. Victoria's blog post is public information and factual. If it's causing you issues, perhaps you should reflect on why the truth is so damaging to your reputation. I'm not your safety net anymore. Best of luck. Maya. I set my status to away, extended honeymoon, and closed LinkedIn. That felt good, I said. That felt overdue, James corrected. 2 days later, Victoria called. You need to know what happened this morning. What now? Your parents showed up at my office building in Boston. Apparently, they Googled my company address. Security called me because 2 elderly Asian people were in the lobby demanding to see me, crying and causing a scene. I closed my eyes. What did you do? I had security escort them out. But Maya, someone filmed it. It's on the Boston Community Watch Facebook page. The comments are not kind. She sent me the link. The video was shaky phone footage of my parents in Victoria's sleek office building lobby, my mother crying, my father yelling at the security guard in broken English. The caption, elderly couple removed from Morrison and Chen Consulting. Anyone know what this was about? The comments were brutal. Aren't these the people who skipped their daughter's wedding for Disneyland? My sister works at that company. Apparently, they're trying to harass the CEO about a family dispute. This is embarrassing, making a scene in public like that. I felt sick watching it, but I also felt nothing. They'd made their choices. These were the consequences. They're desperate, Victoria said, which means they're going to escalate. I'm sending you something via courier. Legal documents. I want you to read them before you decide anything. The package arrived the next day. Inside was a formal demand letter from Victoria's law firm addressed to my parents, demanding repayment of the $20,000 within 30 days. Attached was a second document, a comprehensive breakdown of all financial support I'd provided over 14 years, with interest calculated at a standard rate. The total with interest, $294,000. There was a note from Victoria in her sharp handwriting. You don't have to pursue this, but you should know what you're owed. What they took from you wasn't just money. It was your 20s, your freedom, your choices. Put a number on it. Make them see it. I sat at our kitchen table with the documents spread out in front of me. James read over my shoulder, his hand on my back. Do you want to sue them? He asked carefully. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me just wants to move on. But another part of me is so angry that they think they can take everything and face no consequences. You don't have to decide right now. But the decision was made for me when my phone rang 3 days later. Unknown Boston number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Maya, it's Aunt Lynn again. Your parents' house is in foreclosure. The bank sent a 90-day notice. They're going to lose it. My first instinct was panic. Then I remembered, I didn't cause this. They did. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because they're too proud to ask for help. But Maya, they're going to be homeless. Your father lost his job 2 months ago. Your mother's retail salary can't cover the mortgage. They spent everything on that Europe trip, and now they want me to bail them out, I finished. After they called me not worth seeing in a wedding dress. After they stole my wedding money. After 14 years of treating me like an ATM. They're your parents. No, I said firmly. Parents show up. Parents support you. Parents don't steal from you and mock you. They're just people who share my DNA and chose to hurt me. What should I tell them? Tell them to ask Lily. Her household income is $350,000 a year. She can afford to help them. I can't. I'm not available as their backup plan anymore. I hung up before she could argue. That night, I got an email from my parents. My father had clearly written it, the English awkward but desperate. Dear daughter Maya, we are writing to apologize for wedding situation. We made wrong choice. We are now in financial trouble. Bank will take house. We need help. Can you please send money one more time? We will pay back. We promise. We are sorry. Please help your parents. Love, Ba and Ma. I stared at it for a long time. James read it over my shoulder and said quietly, "What do you want to do?" I thought about the 18-year-old girl who'd given up her scholarship, the 25-year-old working 2 jobs and eating ramen, the 30-year-old still sending money every month while living in a studio apartment, all the versions of me who'd sacrificed and hoped and waited to be enough. I opened a new email and typed, "Mom and Dad, I read your message. I appreciate the apology, but I'm not your solution anymore. I spent 14 years being your financial safety net. I gave you $237,000 so Lily could have everything while I had nothing. When I asked for one thing, your presence at my wedding, you chose Disneyland and told me I wasn't worth seeing in a wedding dress. You're not facing a financial emergency. You're facing the consequences of your choices. You spent your retirement money on a vacation. You chose Lily's comfort over my happiness for 14 years. Now you need to face what that means. I suggest you ask Lily for help. Her household income is $350,000 a year. I'm sure she'll be happy to assist you the way I did for over a decade. I am no longer available as your backup plan. Maya." I attached the spreadsheet Victoria's investigator had compiled. Every payment, every date, every dollar laid out in black and white. Then I hit send. James held me while I cried. Not because I regretted it, but because it was over. 14 years of hoping they'd see me, value me, love me the way they loved Lily. It was done. "I'm proud of you," he whispered into my hair. "I'm proud of me too." The fallout was immediate and brutal. My parents forwarded my email to Lily begging her to help. I know this because Lily sent me a furious message 2 days later. "How dare you send them to me? Brandon's parents are already threatening to cut us off because of your drama. Now Mom and Dad are calling every day crying and Brandon is furious. You've destroyed this entire family. Are you happy now?" I replied. "I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped holding it together by myself. Good luck, Lily." Then I blocked her number. According to Aunt Lynn's updates, she kept calling despite my requests to stop. Things fell apart quickly. Lily refused to help. Brandon absolutely forbade it, and his parents were monitoring their accounts closely after the blog post drama. When my parents showed up at Lily's house unannounced, Brandon called the police for trespassing. The scene was catastrophic. My parents crying on Lily's front lawn in a wealthy Boston suburb. Police cars with lights flashing, neighbors filming from their windows. One of those neighbors posted it to a local Facebook group. Someone recognized my parents from the earlier office building video. The comments were merciless. "These are the people who skipped one daughter's wedding and are now harassing the other. What kind of parents are these?" Lily and my parents had a screaming match in front of the police, in front of the neighbors, in front of Brandon's horrified parents who'd driven over to see what the commotion was. "You spent everything on me!" Lily yelled, according to Aunt Lynn's play-by-play. "You gave me everything and now you want it back?" "Maya used to help without asking questions," my mother screamed back. "Then call Maya!" Lily shouted. "Oh, wait. You told her she wasn't worth seeing in a wedding dress. You made your choice." Brandon's parents witnessed everything. The next day, they had their lawyer draft a postnuptial agreement for Lily and Brandon to sign, protecting Brandon's assets from family financial liability. Lily stopped speaking to my parents entirely, blocked their numbers, refused their calls. 3 months of silence. My parents lost the house. They moved into subsidized senior housing in a less expensive part of Boston, a 1-bedroom apartment in a building that smelled like cabbage and cigarettes. Both had to take part-time jobs, my father as a Walmart greeter, my mother in a hospital cafeteria. The community that had once been their social lifeline wanted nothing to do with them. Church friends stopped calling. The dim sum group disbanded. Even distant relatives made excuses to avoid family gatherings if my parents might attend. They were isolated, broke, and facing the reality of their choices every single day. And I was free. 6 months after the wedding, I found out I was pregnant. James cried happy tears. I cried happy tears. We painted the nursery soft yellow and argued over baby names like normal couples who weren't navigating family trauma. Victoria threw me a baby shower at her penthouse in Boston. She'd invited me to meet my cousins on my father's side, the ones who'd been kept away from me growing up because Victoria was the bad influence. They were wonderful, successful, kind people who welcomed me with open arms. "We always wondered about you," one cousin said. "Victoria told us you were special, that you were surviving something we'd never understand. We wanted to reach out, but your parents made it impossible." "I'm here now," I said. "That's what matters." At 32 weeks pregnant, I got a letter, hand-delivered by a courier to our house in Oakland, which meant someone had hired a service to find my address. The envelope had my father's handwriting. Inside was a single page, written in careful English. "Dear daughter Maya, I write this letter not hoping for forgiveness. I write so you know I regret every day. We lost the house. We live in small apartment now. Lily does not speak to us anymore. No one from church calls. No one invites us to family events. We only have each other, and the regret. You had the right to cut us off. You gave us everything, and we gave you nothing but pain. I do not ask for money. I ask only that you know this. You were right. We were wrong. And now we live with consequences every day. If you have a baby one day, teach them not to be like us. Teach them to love equally, not play favorites. I am proud of you, even though I never showed it. You became successful despite us, not because of us. I am sorry I never told you that when it mattered. Your Ba." I read it sitting at the kitchen table, my hand on my growing belly. James found me there an hour later, the letter still in my hands. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "He sounds genuine. But they were desperate before, and that text about the wedding was genuine too." We talked about it for weeks. I showed the letter to my therapist, who'd been helping me process everything since the wedding. She asked me what I needed. "I need to protect my baby," I said. "I need to break the cycle. I can't let them do to my child what they did to me." "Then what does that look like?" I thought about it for a long time. 2 weeks before my due date, I wrote back, "Ba, I read your letter. I appreciate the apology, but I'm not ready to have you back in my life. Maybe I never will be. That's not cruelty. It's self-preservation. I spent 14 years hoping you'd see me. You finally do, but only because you lost everything else. That's not love. That's desperation. I'm going to be a mother soon. My child will never experience what I did. That's my priority now. I hope you and Mom find peace. But you won't find it through me. Lily is your daughter too. Maybe focus on rebuilding that relationship. I wish you well, but from a distance. Maya." I didn't include my address. I didn't include my phone number. I sent it through the same courier service with instructions not to accept any reply. Then I let it go. Our daughter was born on a sunny Tuesday in March, 7 pounds, 6 ounces, with James's dark hair and my determined chin. We named her Victoria Rose Martinez, Victoria for the aunt who'd shown me what real family looked like, Rose for James's grandmother who'd passed away the year before. I posted one photo on Facebook, privacy settings locked to friends only. Me and James and our daughter, all 3 of us looking exhausted and happy and completely in love. The caption, "Welcome to the world, Victoria Rose. You are loved completely, exactly as you are. You will never have to earn it." Victoria, my aunt, flew out from Boston the day after the birth. She held my daughter and cried, which I'd never seen her do before. "She's perfect," she whispered, "and she's going to grow up knowing she's valued." "She is," I agreed. "No favoritism, no conditional love, no keeping score." "You broke the cycle," Victoria said. "Do you understand how rare that is? How hard?" "I had help," I said, looking at James across the room, talking to the nurse about feeding schedules. I had people who showed me what love actually looks like. 6 months after Victoria Rose was born, I got one more letter, this time from Lily. It was shorter than my father's, less apologetic, but there was something different in the tone. Maya, I know I have no right to write to you. I know I was part of the problem. I accepted everything you gave without questioning where it came from or what it cost you. I watched them treat you like you didn't matter, and I said nothing because it benefited me. Brandon's parents made us sign a postnup. They'll never trust me again. Mom and Dad won't talk to me because I can't help them financially. Brandon won't allow it. I lost my family because I took them for granted. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what you gave up for me. I understand that I was part of the problem. I hope your baby grows up happier than we did. I hope you give her everything we should have had: equity, respect, unconditional love. You deserved better than us. Lily. I filed the letter away without responding. Maybe one day I'd be ready to talk to my sister. Maybe not. But it wasn't my job to absolve her guilt. It was my job to love my daughter, build my career, and live the life I'd finally chosen for myself. On Victoria Rose's first birthday, we had a party in our backyard. 40 people came: James's family, our friends, Victoria, and the cousins I'd reconnected with, my grandmother, who was 92 and thrilled to finally meet her great-granddaughter. As I watched my daughter smash her face into a cake, surrounded by people who loved her just for existing, I felt James's arm around my waist. "Happy?" he asked. "Completely," I said, and I meant it. Somewhere in Boston, my parents were living with their choices. Lily was rebuilding her marriage under her in-laws' watchful eyes. The community was still gossiping. But here, in Oakland, in our house with the bay view and the yellow nursery, and the family we'd built from choice and love and intention, here we were happy. My daughter would never wonder if she was worth seeing in a wedding dress. She'd never have to sacrifice for a sibling to earn scraps of approval. She'd never send her last dollar home and lie awake wondering if it was enough. She would know from day one that she was enough just as she was. And that was worth more than all the money I'd ever given them. Worth more than their approval, their presence, their conditional love. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. 27% of Americans have cut off at least one family member to protect their mental health. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? How did you do it? And if you want more stories about people who chose themselves and won, hit that subscribe button. New videos every week. You deserved better, and it's never too late to choose differently.